It's week 28 of the golfing year, and welcome to the most listened to Australian golf podcast, Talk Birdie to Me. And today we're live from Australian Golf Headquarters, home of the PGA of Australia and Golf Australia, and with the Australian Open venue and structure now revealed, we are looking forward to a big show. And of course we're here thanks to the team at the new Watch My Numbers app. This is the most powerful database golf app in the world. You can download from the App Store or Google Play. Play smarter and use your data. And Ping, who can help you play your best, just like they have for Nick O'Hearn's entire career. See your local golf shop or professional and arrange a Ping Club fitting. And the Golf Clearance Outlet. They're in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane and Perth, and online at golfclearanceoutlet.com.au. Oh, and check out their new membership club, GCO Live. It is fantastic. Now, former world number 16 Nick O'Hearn and former tour pro Mark Allen. This is Talk Birdie to Me.
So you played Long Island Golf Club this week, and I know that Long Island Golf Club is getting a renovation.
Yes.
What do you think?
Well, I didn't see the renovation.
Why not?
Well, because it's all over the other side. So what they've done, it's obviously part of the National. They've got OCM who is doing the renovation.
So that's Michael Cocking and team.
Exactly.
Ogilvy.
They've got 9 holes in play. You play 1, 2, 3, 14 through 18, and then they've got a little made-up par 3 as part of the chipping green. But
Righto.
I teed off. It was 0 degrees.
0 degrees.
0 degrees.
What time was it?
It was about 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, my gosh.
On the weekend.
Did you have those little rock things that
No.
and you put them in your hands and they go the hand warmers?
Hand warmer. I wish I had, but unfortunately I didn't. But I've just actually started wearing this new cutter and buck gear.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
But I tell you what, it was unbelievable how warm I felt. The only thing that was freezing was my face and my hands. The rest of my body was awesome, and I actually played pretty good. Hey, Mark, I had a bogey-free round.
Did you?
Yeah. The only problem was I only had one birdie, so 7-8 pars and one birdie.
I knew there was something going on because I don't know that I've ever seen you here without Ping gear on. But
Yeah,
today you are very unusually not wearing Ping.
Right. Well, I normally got the cap on, the Ping cap, but not today. And
Are you going to embroider Ping on the sleeves of your cutter and buck deal?
That's
or
a good idea,
Does that cut across deals, does it?
No, it's all good.
All jokes aside, that is actually a very nice jacket.
No, I tell you, it's great. I loved their gear when I was living in America. I never got to wear it, unfortunately. And anyway, spoke to the local rep here, and happy days. Yeah, nice.
Well, it does look good. Can I just quickly go back to Long Island? Because you've said something that I don't like. Victoria Golf Club, when they did their renovation, they shut it all down for 12 months.
18 holes got done at once, right?
And it pretty much right around the 12-month period, members walked back on the golf course with their mouths open going, wow, how good a job is this? Huntingdale Golf Club, was it 30, you remember? 9 holes and 9 holes, even though they had Cranbourne to use. So it drags out how long it takes. Long Island only doing 9 holes at a time, drags out how long it takes.
Well, the Mount Lawley Golf Club in Perth, where I'm at, I think they've been doing 6 or 7 holes at a time, and it's over a few years. So, and they're on to the last stage. It does drag out. I like that the Victoria Golf Club idea. The only problem is, I wonder at the time if the members are gone, oh, you got to be kidding me. We're not going to be able to play a course for a year. But then when it's all done, happy days.
Oh, well, I'd like to hear from our Victoria. I bet we've got people from all those golf clubs that we've mentioned and others right around the country where they've done a renovation and they've dragged it out. Instead of doing it all at once, done a little bit and a little bit and a little bit, and of course you only have half. Let us know what you prefer. What would you prefer? Because me sitting here, although you and I, we can go play anywhere properly, so it doesn't bother us as much. And we only play, what do you play, once a week? I play once a week.
Yeah.
So it probably doesn't make much difference to us because there'd be some hardcore golfers out there who play 3 times a week. But
you can do course swaps and things like that, right? So
get in touch with our socials. We might put have we ever done a poll on our socials? I know we do it on the other podcast, a couple of blokes.
We have done a poll on our socials. In fact, we did a poll over the last few days.
Right.
Did we give you the results of right now?
Let's get the results of the poll.
Let's do
I didn't even know we did polls. Did you know we did polls?
I knew we did polls. I didn't know we had one out.
Right.
No, we did.
What was the poll?
So the poll we did a few days ago was hypothetical. You score an ace, but you're playing alone.
Right.
No one sees it but you. The question is this. Can you tell people, or will it sound sus, even though it's 100% true? 3 options. 1, tell everyone.
Right.
2, don't tell anyone.
Yes.
3, tell a select few people.
Yes.
What would you guys do?
I'm not telling anyone because I've seen people tell people that they've had a hole-in-one play by themselves and they laughed at mercilessly.
I don't think that hole-in-one counts. However, I would tell a few select people, I knocked one in the other day, but it doesn't count.
No, it does not count.
Does not count.
35% said tell a few people.
Yeah, there you go.
17% don't tell a soul.
Yeah.
48% tell everyone.
Wow.
So I think the only way a hole-in-one counts is that if you've won the hole in match play, or 2, you have written down 1. That's the only time it counts.
Okay. Since we're talking about that,
Yeah.
I was going to save it for the Ping Global results later on, but
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that now because you wouldn't believe that in a WA pennant match at Sun City, we had Ian Gompertz, I think that's how you say it, who plays over 2 handicap for the WA Golf Club at
Good
Yokine.
player.
He's playing up against Rob Clement, who's off a 3 handicap at Cottesloe.
A couple of good players.
Ian tees off the 14th, the par 3,
Yeah.
knocks it in.
Right.
Hole in one.
Are they playing against each
Playing
other?
against each other in
Yeah.
match play. Now, Rob's thinking, I got no chance. Straight away hits his 6-iron. I think Ian hit a 5-iron. Rob hits a 6-iron. Goes in.
They halved
They
in
halved
ones.
the hole in ones.
Oh,
Can you believe
nick
that?
off.
I've never heard of that before.
That would never have happened ever.
They had some odds, something like 17 million to 1. I reckon it's 17 trillion to 1. I don't know about 17 million to 1.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
You know what? I came back from America and I hadn't had a hole-in-one at that stage, and I was playing pennant, and I was playing against Latrobe. It was Huntingdale versus Latrobe at Yarra Yarra Golf Club, and I hold a 3-iron on the old first. It used to be the really long par 3.
Yeah.
And I remember the bloke I was playing against. So I've gone first and nailed it. And he's over the ball. He looked up and said, I've got this to halve. But it actually took place. It happened.
It has. I'd never heard of that before. My one question is, who buys the drinks afterwards? Or do they just both shout at the bar?
They shout
They
both
split.
of them between it for the rest of the
Anyway.
night.
It's a great achievement. Are you pumping this up because it happened in WA?
No, it's never happened before that I know of. I've never heard of a hole halved
Very
with an
suspicious.
ace. I've heard of holes halved with eagles, things like that.
That's
but not
amazing.
aces.
No, not aces. Not
Nah,
ones.
I think that's got to be a world record.
Do we know who won the match?
We do.
You'd walk off, wouldn't you?
Well, Rob Clement, he won 4 and 3, plays over 3 handicap, and he was 4 under the card.
Oh, my God.
These guys were playing some serious golf.
Cheapest.
Yeah.
They're good.
It's good golf.
So before we got onto that, you were asking about poles. So what were you asking about a pole for? Oh, about renovation of golf course.
Yes. So if your golf club was going to get a total renovation,
Yes.
what would you prefer? A, all at once?
Yep.
B, 9 holes at a time? Or C, let's pull the Band-Aid off real slow and go 6 holes at a time?
Do it in 3 stages.
Yeah.
A little bit
What
like
a
what
disaster that
I think
would
that's
be.
what Matt Lawley are doing.
Hey, I've got a question for you. I've noticed this on the US tour.
Okay.
Whenever they play a tournament where it's crazy under, so I think, what was it, 28 under won the tournament on the weekend.
Oh, the John Deere.
John Deere.
Yeah.
Why is it when you look at the first 2 pages of any leaderboard where the scoring is off the charts, it is just American flags, or basically just American flags? You played over there.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
They're used to going deep.
Yeah.
They really are. I've mentioned this before. The tougher tour for me was the Corn Ferry Tour.
Yep.
It's all these young, up-and-coming college kids
Hungry.
who are hungry, and they hit it a mile. They all putt the lights out, and 15 under's going to make you finish 30th. I saw Jason Day shot 16 under for the week, and he finished 23rd or something like that.
That's right.
They just know how to go deep. And there was a 59 as well. Hayden Springer had a 59 in the first round.
No,
and you
they
know
even
what?
blinked.
He didn't even shoot the course record. He tied it with Paul Goydos, who shot the 59 there back in 2010. But look, the John Deere is a golf course where they do go low. It's very soft. It's pretty gettable. There's a reachable par 4. The par 5s you can knock it on in 2. But most par 5s, these guys can knock it on in 2 anyway. But that's an interesting point you make. I think in Europe, maybe here in Australia, the courses might be a little firmer, a little tougher. So you don't go as deep, so you're not used to going as low as you possibly can.
I've got a theory because when I was in college in America, my summer job was to take some young juniors around to tournaments. So I had to drive them around the tournaments and look after them while I was gone. So I'd go out and watch them play, and I'd help them warm up, and I'd go out and watch them play. And I was shocked that they play from so far forward that the actual winning scores, you had under 12s, shooting 66.
So they just get used to shooting low.
So I just think they get used to shooting under par.
It's a great idea. Yeah.
And I think it makes sense because I remember when I was coming through as a junior, there was a term called comfort level.
Yep.
And my comfort level was about 2 under par. when I was 16 or 15 years old, I'd get to 2 under par and panic.
Yeah.
God, I'm 2 under par. But these kids, because they play so far forward from a very young age, they're so used to getting 6, 7, 8 under par.
So used to doing it.
It just doesn't even bother them.
Yeah, I used to do that a bit in America as practice regime, where I'd play 9 holes, 2-ball best ball, and I would have to shoot under 30, two ball best ball.
Yeah.
Another one I used to do at Isleworth was I would play from the forward tee, way forward obviously, and I'd have to break 60. So that was my goal. So I could reach all the par fours in 1, par 5s in 2. I actually had my talk about things that you never own up to.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, the 13th hole at Isleworth, par 5 normally, played it from the forward tee. From the forward tee, I hit driver wedge.
Right.
Hold it for a 2.
Oh. Did you tell anybody?
Nope. This is the first time I've ever told anyone I've had an albatross. I've never had an albatross, but I did that day.
I've never had an albatross.
But I'm not claiming it because it was a driver wedge on a par 5. So.
That's right. You play from the forward tees.
So I shot 26 that night.
So you've never told anyone about that albatross?
No, never.
That is hilarious.
Anyway, so there you go.
Yeah. Well, I've had 12 holy ones, but I've never had an albatross. Never. In fact, I reckon I've hit it to a foot a couple of times, but nothing closer than that.
The only close real albatross is a holder 3-wood on a par 5, but I chipped out sideways to get it there. So if I'd hit my drive straight, well, then it would have been a 2, but, chipped it out sideways. Just
getting back to getting past your comfort level, my coach at Texas Tech, who was the worst golf coach in the history of golf coaches in the whole world, absolutely hopeless.
Jeez.
The worst ever. His name was Tommy Wilson, and he was a complete hack.
Okay, well,
and
he's been a 30-year coach.
But he did do one thing for me, which I'll never forget. It was about my 3rd or 4th tournament, and I was shooting 73s and 74s, and he was really unhappy that I was shooting 73s and 74s. And I said, I'm not hitting the well. He goes, I want you to do this at practice this week. He goes, I want you to play a scramble inside 110 yards. Everyone was inside 100 metres.
Yeah.
Well, I said, what, just the wedges? He goes, no, every shot. So what that taught me is that I was actually hitting the ball fine, because when I played the scramble,
Ambrose.
When you play the Ambrose for 100 metres in, then you learn how long to hit the wedges, because you hit the first one and it goes 10 yards past. You hit the second one, you get it.
Right.
You get up and down when you miss the green from that distance, because you got 2 goes at it.
Yeah.
But here's the big one. When you miss the first putt, you've got a good read.
Exactly.
So you learn the importance of the read.
Yes.
So Tommy Wilson taught me one thing. You don't have to hit it that good to shoot 66. You just have to make good decisions inside 100 metres.
Sign of a good coach, Mark. I can't believe you're ripping him.
No, he's the worst ever coach. He's the worst ever coach. Hey, this podcast came out a little bit late this week. It's because we spoke to James Sutherland, the CEO of Golf Australia, at Golf Australia headquarters earlier in the week, and the Australian Open is on.
Yes.
You've had a little bit of time to digest what James said, and I'd like to thank James again, because he was as honest as he possibly could be.
It was a good chat. I mean, he shed some light on why it took so long for the Australian Open to come out, and we spoke about the format, the different versions, the men and women playing together, are the dates right, all these other things. There's so much that goes into this, and obviously the government support as well, which is so important these days.
So what do you think is going to happen? I mean, we spoke about 2025. This is the last year of a 3-year contract that Hander was very keen to have the all abilities, the men and women playing together. What's your gut feel about 2025? Do you think it'll go back to where it was? I mean, this year we know, and James didn't put everything on the table, but this year the all abilities will finish on Saturday, so they'll have more room for the men and the women to hopefully
just the one cut again.
Just the one cut.
Cuts,
just the one cut again, which is good. But hopefully, with less players playing on the Sunday, we'll be able to see the stories of both tournaments a little bit better. We were only one hooked drive away from seeing Adam Scott perhaps win on the ninth hole.
Ninth hole, an hour and a half early.
An hour and a half early, yes. So I'm not sure whether, anything's possible this year still. To me, it would have to be a really good outcome this year. Everything would have to go really smoothly and the players would have to love it.
Yeah. My gut feel is if, and a lot of this I think depends on the venue.
Yeah.
We've got great courses this year, obviously Kingston Heath for 3 out of the 4 rounds for the players. They play there every day, and Victoria for the other one. If you had it on a 36-hole venue like Peninsula Kingswood or Royal Melbourne, as we mentioned with James, I think it could work really well. I think the week will flow much better. The spectators will all be on the one course watching over the first 2 days. I know it's not that big a deal the first 2 days, but it actually is. I think, the whole flow of the event. If they want to get as many spectators out there as possible, I think having it on that same property, and you can almost, no, you wouldn't logistically put the ladies on one course and the men on the other course maybe for the entire tournament. That might be an option going forward.
It's not silly.
Yeah. But from a TV standpoint, it'd be very difficult.
Yeah,
you need a lot of cameras and there's a lot of logistics involved around that. But my gut feel is it may separate, I think, maybe going forward. What do you think?
I think it would be better for the Australian Opens if they separated.
Yep.
And having seen the first, and believe me, I'm up for the experiment.
Yep.
I'm up for but I think you've got to look at the total. No matter how much the people who come through the gates love it, I think you've got to keep the integrity of the event it's got to be a priority. It has to be an absolute priority. That fairness for all players, particularly on that last day, is front of mind.
Yeah.
We've had situations where guys on the same score, players on the same score, particularly in the men's because it's a little bit more crunched together.
Yeah.
You've got, let's just say, a player on 3 under hitting off the 10th tee at the same time as the leaders, and another guy on 3 under hitting off at 8 o'clock in the morning in totally different conditions and shooting an incredible score. I forgot the player who did this when I was at Victoria, a Spanish player.
Okay.
And he shot something unbelievably low, and everybody else on 3 under was battling away in the worst conditions. So
I think they got
there
a bit
are a few
unlucky.
of those integrity issues that I think need to be front of mind.
Yeah, they got a bit unlucky there with the size of the cut. I think that probably had a little bit to do with it.
It was a huge, it was a big one.
So that's a tough one as well.
But see, that's the problem though, isn't it? Golf throws up so much.
It does.
I remember one year at the Open Championship when they still had the 10-shot rule. I reckon there was about 120 players playing on the weekend one year. So anything can happen in this game. And they've got to understand that. That's why we cut them at 60 or 70 is so to look after those sort of situations. Otherwise, the cut might be at 80.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and James spoke about hopefully maybe one day there's a potential for it to be a Rolex Series event as part of the DP World Tour because it's co-sanctioned. So wouldn't that be nice as well?
Would you prefer to see the Australian Opens at the other side of Christmas?
Ooh. I would say for the women, I think that would work well into that February date that they used to have.
And I think they'd get the US tour back on board if they had the February date.
I think so. For the men, that's a tricky one. Are you going to get the big guys, the Aussies, that is, that play in the US coming back?
What about if it was a Rolex?
If it was a Rolex Series event, well, you'd get
February.
Yeah, for sure. You'd get all the big.
You get them all.
Well, all the big DP World Tour players.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you get your Adam Scott.
That's okay. We're not sure whether we get them anyway.
Yeah, true.
That's the whole deal. I mean, I know James said that it's hard to get them all down, but how often do we get them all down?
Yeah.
I don't think November helps anyway. So I think the Rolex, if we're shooting for the stars, and that's what we got to do. You got to prepare. You got to have a 10-year plan. I'd love to get Gavin Kirkman in and ask about the 10-year plan of the professional golf tours in this country. What's the 10-year plan? I would love to know that.
Yeah, good question.
But if we're shooting for the stars, I know James in the bonus earlier in the week was shooting for the stars when he spoke about it being a Rolex. But if we position it to one day be that, I think the Australian Open particularly if it was up against the Sunshine Tour event, which is a South African tour event,
Yep.
there'd be a big enough split to where some players would go to South Africa, some players would go to Australia, and we would still be able to get 40 or 50 of the best young Australian players into an Australian Open. And I think it's what we've got to shoot for.
Yeah, no, I agree. For sure. It's just that scheduling. It's always been the sticking point, unfortunately. So,
what do you think of David Micheluzzi?
Oh, what a great finish.
Wow.
birdie, eagle finish. So when he walked after the ball on 18, I was watching the final stages. When he walked after the ball and he's talking to it, and the commentator's going, "Oh, I think he likes this." He's walking after it, and he absolutely pummeled that 3-wood to about 6 feet.
Yep.
Rolled it in for the eagle, and he showed it was almost a coming of age for him on the DP World Tour. Like, they're almost talking about him as though they didn't know much about this guy, but we obviously do because we've seen him win down here so often. This season is his first fully exempt season, which is kind of strange because
18 months ago.
It was quite a while.
It's what it seems like 18 months ago.
Yeah, exactly. And he moved up, I think it was 63 spots to number 57 on the race to Dubai, which is huge because your first year is, I always say to young pros, your first year is your toughest as a rookie pro because you are exposed to things that you're just not used to. You go into a different city, country, especially on the European tour. Yeah. Where you're in a different country every week. So you have to adapt as you go along. And that first year, if you can just get by somehow, take your chances when they arise, then you're off. And I think this tournament basically has seen him take off.
Yep.
Yeah, it was huge for him, that finish, especially in the middle of the back nine. He bogeyed 14, 15, two tough par fours, and then for him to have the guts to lay up on 16, wedge it on, roll that birdie in, made a beautiful putt on 17, and just a quality finish. Tied for second. What a great result.
And he's moved up to almost 200 in the world, so he's just a few spots outside the top 200 in the world. Once you start moseying up that list, you're not far off. What would he be, Nick? A couple of good finishes off being a top 100 player?
Yeah, absolutely.
When we say top finishes, a couple more seconds, maybe the dream of winning one. That'll sneak him into the top 100 in the world, and then he becomes the poster boy for the PGA of Australia and the pathways that they have set up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And now look, at those top three, especially if you win the Order of Merit like Kazuma Kabori, next year we're going to see him more on the DP World Tour because that's when his status starts, and those guys as well. You see him sporadically at the moment, but they're playing on invites basically. But if you can make that breakthrough early on, and he's the sort of player where he plays on confidence. Yeah, he's that sort of streaky guy. He can go on a run. Yeah, he might win next week or the week after or whatever. What is next? This coming week is the Scottish Open.
Scottish Open this week.
I'm assuming that gets him into that tournament.
Well, it's a US Tour event, so
yeah, that's true. But usually top 10s get you in the next week, but we'll have to look that one up. I think.
See the Irish Open. Usually it's the Scottish-Irish, then the Open Championship. Yeah. Or one around that. Because of the Olympics, I think the Irish Open got moved all the way to September or something.
I think so, yeah. It's quite a way back.
I used to always love watching the Irish, then the Scottish, then the British Open.
Especially now that they have it on links courses. Before they never used to do that. It was, the Irish was, the Scottish was at Loch Lomond, and then they had... What was the Irish one? They had one at the K Club, American-style courses. So it wasn't much of a prep. But now they're on these links courses. It's a great lead-up.
Just on the Scottish Open, last year, Rory McIlroy hit the 2-iron into a 6-club wind.
Well, Bobby McIntyre hit the shot of the year until 10 minutes later. Rory McIlroy then came along.
That's right. And then you and I, we hit the putt. You and I both think he missed it. It went right in the middle, and he was laughing with his caddy. He got a plaque. There's a plaque there.
Ah, okay.
So my top 5 shortly will be the top 5 plaques in world golf.
Okay.
So that's coming up.
I'll be interested
in
that.
Top 5 plaques.
Yeah, see, he's just shaking his head. Shaking his head.
Are we scraping the bottom of the barrel?
You know what that means? you talk about jumping the shark, Mark. When you get to the point of counting down top 5 plaques, I think you have given up.
It's very topical. Yeah. Very topical.
I think the other thing that was great last week was Elvis Smiley.
Oh, yeah.
The Open qualifier.
Good on him.
He was at Royal Cinque Ports, I think the name of the course is, which is down in the south east of England near
No,
Dover.
it's a tricky little course. I tried to qualify there one year.
Did you?
Yeah, one year I tried to qualify. It's a tricky little beast of a thing, so he did really well.
No, it was great. He was the only Aussie to get through that final qualifying, so well done to Elvis. He'll be playing at Royal Troon, where I think he visited as a 14-year-old. I saw something on social media with his parents, and now he's going back playing in the tournament.
Speaking of Elvis, just Elvis Presley, just a quick joke before we get to the halfway house.
All right. Go on.
Again,
why not?
All right.
Again, I repeat, for the show.
So, Elvis Presley, what are his favourite 2 months of the year?
Go on.
February, March.
Okay.
Oh, that is the... Do you know, that is
That's like, thank you very much.
Oh, we get what
February,
it is.
March.
Jeez.
Nick,
Yeah.
Nick, I want to ask your view here. We've got two choices here. One, we can leave that in and Mark looks like a moron. Or two, we edit it out and the pod sounds more professional.
I'll give it to you one more time. February, March.
Oh, no, we get it. We got it the first
That
time.
sounds so close to thank you very much, doesn't it?
Okay.
I think we leave it in.
I think we leave it in, make him look like a moron.
I think that's right, yeah.
See you on the 10th, too.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to Talk Birdie to me, and if you're up for it, we'd love you to subscribe, rate and share the podcast wherever you listen. And thanks to our great partners who make the show possible, Ping, they'll help you play your best, Watch My Numbers, the most powerful database golf app in the world, and the Golf Clearance Outlet. They beat everyone's prices. Now, back to Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen.
Jeez, I'm on the 10th tee and all I can think of is February, March.
I knew it would get in your head.
All right. Do you breathe in or out on your backswing? It's
It's time for this week's Top 5.
Top 5, top 5, top 5.
And as promised, the top 5 plaques in the world of golf, Dan. I am Arthur Fonzarelli in my leather jacket on my skis.
Yes.
Right.
I have one question.
Yes.
Do you have someone in there who didn't play the PGA Tour?
Well, let me look at my list.
As in it's not a pro tournament?
No.
Okay.
I've got nobody in
So
there.
there's
Why have you got one?
No Roy McIlroy Tin Cup.
No.
Because there is a plaque.
Is there a plaque?
There is a plaque.
At that golf course, is there?
At that golf course. That actually wasn't the 18th hole on the golf course either. It was some random 4th or 5th hole.
It looked like a pretty good hole,
Yeah,
by the
it
way.
did. Yeah, I think it was a par 4, actually.
Oh, and they just played it.
I think so, yeah.
It's a strong par 4 with the water right in front.
Anyway.
It's a false front into that water. It's like Cameron Davis's par 5 last week.
He's delaying the inevitable here, isn't he, Dan?
Oh, you know what I'm really excited about? Feedback next week. Because we're going to have people writing about that joke.
Okay.
I think you'll be surprised that people were chuckling along. So, at number 5, world's greatest golf plaques. I'm giving it to Rory McIlroy because what he did to Bobby McIntyre last year was outrageous. And he did it with a 2-iron.
It was a sweet shot.
It was a 2-iron and hold the putt to win last year's Scottish Open.
If Bobby McIntyre had won, they would have given him a plaque.
He's probably
Definitely. Because that was a hell of a 3. He had 3 wood. So.
But as it is, McIntyre is plaqueless.
Okay.
So stiff. At number 4, this was at my home club. There was a Perth golfer named Roger Mackay.
Oh, the late, great Roger, yes.
And in the 80s, he holed his second shot on the 14th hole in a Victorian Open.
Oh, my goodness. The par 5.
And he ended up beating Greg Norman. Greg Norman was playing in the Vic Open.
Oh, he wouldn't have seen that go in either because it's a blind second shot.
I only heard it. So
wow.
A plaque went down, but the Kingston Heath members didn't like the plaque.
Really? Why?
No. Do you know what they were doing?
Yeah.
They were filling it in with sand every time they walked past it. It was just a little plaque.
Oh.
But I'm going to push back and say that was a great plaque.
Well, if you get an albatross, that's impressive.
Okay, at number 3, Tiger's in every list we do. This one was for his shot in the dark. What course and what tournament am I talking about?
Know it well. Yeah, that was at Firestone at the Bridgestone Invitational.
Yeah.
Yeah, he beat, and who did he beat?
Serge?
Oh, I think it was Jim Furyk.
Jim Furyk,
I
okay.
think.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
'Cause you had to hit it straight, that joint. My
It
God.
was about the 7th playoff hole. Or something.
Number 2, at the Australian Golf Club in Sydney at the Australian Open. I reckon it was round 2. The par 5, I'm going to say it's about the 13th hole. What's the par 5 out the back? It kind of snakes around.
On, where's this, sorry?
At the Australian Golf
Australian.
Club.
Oh, it's 10, 11, 12, 13.
Or was it the 4th
14,
hole?
14.
This is the 14th hole.
14's a par 5, or you've got...
Goes into the back corner.
2, 3...
No, it's on the front
it depends
nine.
which back corner.
It's on the front 9.
Oh, okay. Well, that'd be 6 then.
The 6th hole.
Is it 6 or
Yep.
5? I can't remember.
Greg Norman knocked it in for 2 there as well.
Sorry, 5th hole.
5th hole.
How we going, Dan?
Yeah. We've played a lot of golf courses, Nick. We've played a lot of courses, Dan. Don't look at us like that. We've played a lot. It's hard to remember every hole on every course we've ever played.
I understand.
So Greg Norman, but my number 1 plaque.
Did he get driver off the deck there, by the way?
Maybe it was driver off the deck.
Yeah. I thought he did that at Huntingdale as well, but I don't know.
Yeah, he definitely knocked it on the 14th.
Anyway, okay.
Quite a few times at Huntingdale.
Yeah.
But my number 1 plaque in the world of golf will always remember the Ben Hogan 1-iron because of the picture. But if you ever get to play Merion, the plaque is right there. Where he hit the 1-iron to the centre of the green, 2-putted. I think the 2-putt got him into a playoff. Is that right? I'll have to do my research and then won the playoff the next day.
We'll have to look that up.
I should have come better prepared.
I do take it back, though. That actually was a really good top 5.
No, you're just saying that.
I'll never see the plaque, but I do have the picture on my wall. So.
Do you?
Yeah, the original one too.
Oh, nice.
Hey, Mark, while you look that up...
Yeah, I'm looking it up now.
So while you look that up, I might just mention that further to James on the bonus podcast yesterday, tickets are on sale now for the Australian Open. You can get them at ozopengolf.com.au, ausopenGolf.com.au. Is
there an early bird price associated with this?
Or you can get them on Ticket Tech, and they have what's called their limited first release, which is it's early bird tickets, right?
Yeah, okay.
But I think... if you get in now, I would suggest that's smart because I reckon once they start announcing some names, these things are going to be red hot.
Rightio. 1950 US Open golf. I've got it. Merion Golf Club in a playoff. So hit that shot to get into a playoff.
Who was it against? Do you remember?
Someone like I've got to look it up now.
Someone like Guy Boris or someone like that.
It would have been silly old Guy Boris.
Guy Boris, what a name.
I know, I just pulled that one out of thin air. I don't know.
So, 18-hole playoff over Lloyd Mangrum and George Fazio.
Oh, wow.
Georgie boy.
Any relation to Tom?
Georgie, we never saw George Fazio again. That was it. Ben Hogan crushed his spirit. That was it for him.
Just like he crushed your career.
Yeah, that's right, because I read his stupid book.
As you have famously said.
5 Fundamentals, and tried to cross over Greg Norman's one-piece takeaway with Ben Hogan's Don't Move Your Hips. That's a big mistake looking back at things, Nick.
Ben Hogan, 5 Fundamentals of Golf. Mark Allen, 84 tips to simplify golf or whatever it was.
87 tips to make golf simple.
87 tips. I will never, ever not find that hilarious.
There's 5 fundamentals, or you can go with the 87. Not sure which one I'll go for.
Oh, my tips made golf simple, that's for sure.
Okay.
Play the music. Let's get going.
All right, this week's Ping Global results. We're going to start with the DP World Tour this week, where they had the 35th running of the BMW International Open in Munich. I've played this tournament many times, and it was a lot of fun, this golf tournament, especially when you went from the hotel to the golf course in the BMWs, get on the Autobahn and the courtesy car drivers.
I've never been to Germany.
Let it loose.
Is it a good place, Germany?
Love it. Great.
What's the food like? Can you remember?
Really good. Yeah, I can't remember exactly, but no, love the food, love the beer. Yeah. Pretty strong beer though, I must admit. You had to be careful.
Did you have bangers and mash over there?
I'm sure I did. Sure I did.
Right.
On the Autobahn, do you remember how fast you went?
Yeah, I think at one stage I looked over at the odometer and we were well over. I think it was about 220, something like that.
Sure,
but in these cars you didn't feel it. It was just it was just ticking along. And the scary thing was people were overtaking us.
That's unreal.
That's how fast they went over there. But anyway,
that's unreal.
At the start of the week we had Bernard Langer, 66 years old, playing in his last DP World Tour event. I don't know if you saw that. It was history because he's been playing this tour for 50 years.
Unbelievable.
Can you believe that? He played his first time when he was 16 years old, and he grew up about 40 minutes away. So they said, why not
come back and play?
Come back and play it. So it was incredible. He was the first player. A bit of a side note. First player to be ranked number 1 in the world when they brought out the official World Golf Rankings in 1986.
That is true.
We had Scotland's Ewan Ferguson, who's been suffering from a bit of vertigo lately.
Has he?
Isn't that amazing? I mean, vertigo, and he comes back and...
So Jason Day gets every once in a while,
Yeah,
too.
that's right. Stephen Leaney had it for a bit as well.
There you go.
Yeah, he did. But he had a 2-shot win over Jordan Smith. It was a fantastic finish for the Scot, who had been struggling with his health, obviously. Teared up at the end, too. It was very emotional for him, and it was just great to see. That gets him into the Open Championship, obviously. David Micheluzzi, what a finish it was for him, as we saw, finishing birdie, eagle. He was in a tie for second along with Smith as well, so it was a cracking finish for him. The other Australasian in the field, Ryan Fox, finished tied for 17th. Over the pond on the PGA Tour at the John Deere Classic, they have the best tee markers, I think, those little
tractors?
Yeah, little tractors.
Yeah,
they're brilliant. They're so good. First career win for young Davis Thompson. Had a 4-shot win. He started the day with a 2-shot lead and goes out and birdies 5 of the first 6.
Yeah.
How's that for a way to start when you're leading for the
Just
first time?
unreal. He looks a likely type to me as well.
Pretty quiet-looking guy, yeah.
Yeah, he's a serious character.
He certainly is. But he had a 4-shot win over 3 players, Michael Torbenson, CT Pan, and the young amateur, Luke Clanton, who became the first amateur to go back-to-back top 10s on the PGA Tour since about 1958.
50-something.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
There's a Billy Joe Patton, or there's a crazy name like that,
something
wasn't it?
like that, yeah. So
yeah, right.
Anyway, that's an incredible result for the young man, and I'm assuming he'll turn pro soon. He'll be in next week's event.
Well, we think.
Well, he won't be in the British Open.
But he'll be, because the PGA Tour has an event alongside it.
Alongside the Scottish Open as well.
Yeah,
so
good.
we have the two events
right,
going
so
on
that's
at the
good.
same time. We had a 59, as I mentioned earlier, Hayden Springer.
Ho-hum.
Yeah, I know, just another 59. Jason Day was the sole Aussie to make the cut, finishing tied for 23rd. On the ladies' European Tour, they had the Aramco Team Series in London. This was a fascinating finish to the teams event, funnily enough. On the individual side, Irish woman Leona Maguire, a ping player, eagled the last hole for a 1-shot win over Maria Hernandez.
Eagled the last hole.
He had a beautiful hybrid into about 10 feet, rolled in a little left to righter. She becomes the first Irish woman to win on the ladies' European Tour. I thought an Irish woman had won before.
I can't believe it.
She's won twice over on the LPGA, but not on the ladies' European Tour. But on the team side of things, there was a playoff between Team Nadeau, which was Nastasia's Nadeau's team. She's a French lady. She went into a playoff with Team Hall, which was Georgia Hall, and you pick one player to go out and play, and they have at it, basically. How's this? They halved the first playoff hole with an eagle.
They did. Nice.
They both eagled the 18th. Then they halved the second playoff hole with a birdie.
Of course they do.
And then Nadeau birdies it again, so to win the team series.
Unbelievable.
It was a great playoff. I was watching this as it was coming down the stretch. Just brilliant. On the Australasian side, Momoko Kabori tied for 42nd, and Kirsten Rudgley tied for 51st.
That's a bad finish for K. Rudge.
Yeah, I know. She's
been playing really well.
Playing very nicely, but hey, if she still makes the cut on a bad week, that's okay, right?
That's true.
Yeah,
that's
if you're missing cuts, then that's starting to get issues. They were in Gothenburg, Sweden for the LET Access Tour, which is a secondary tour for the ladies in Europe, where Dane Natasha Husted had a 2-shot win, and Kelsey Bennett had a nice top 10 there, finishing in a tie for 10th.
Have you been drinking before you started this podcast? Because you're getting the pronunciations very well.
It usually does help, but I'm actually I'm in a bit of a dry July at the moment, so I'm surprising myself getting these pronunciations out.
You're going well.
Well, I've got the Japanese one coming up, so look out. Now, they were in Japan for the Japan Professional Golf Championships. Brad Kennedy from the Aussies had a tied for 12th, and Yuta Sugiura had a 1-shot win there on the Japanese tour.
You wouldn't see too many weaker left-hand grips than Brad Kennedy's. Have you ever noticed?
I haven't noticed. He's one of the best putters around. Maybe that.
If he wasn't wearing a glove, you'd be able to see his fingernails front on. His left hand is that far around.
Is it really?
Is Bryson DeChambeau like?
Yeah, Bryson does have a very weak grip. I think one of the players I remember with a weak grip back in, even before my day was Corey Pavin. I think he had a pretty weak left hand as well.
And Jose?
Yes.
Jose went crazy. He had it way underneath.
Jose Maria, I lost my ball. Yes.
That's him.
That's the one. On the Asian Tour, they had the International Series in Morocco, where Ben Campbell, again, I watched this finish. It was unbelievable. John Catlin going for his 7th win, had it wrapped up, basically. He was 3 shots in front with 2 to play. They had a very strange 17th hole. It's about 250 yards, but they have water left and long. So the players were only really hitting irons onto the green. It's a par 4. Catlin knocks it in the front bunker, splashes it out. 2 putts for his par. Ben Campbell, the New Zealander playing alongside him, hits it on the green to about 50 feet, rolls it in for an eagle. So now he's one back playing the last. And the commentators are still going, well, Catlin's probably got it in the bag because the last hole's a par 5. Catlin knocks it on in 2, about 50 feet away. Campbell's had to lay it up, a wedge, got a wedge in. Hits it to 10 feet, rolls it in for birdie, and Catlin 3 putts for the par. So now all of a sudden we're in a playoff. And Ben Campbell then rolls in another 20-footer. First playoff hole to win the golf tournament. It was an incredible finish, and the commentators they were almost surprised at how this guy just stole it out from under him. So it was just a brilliant win from the New Zealander. He also won the International Series in Hong Kong, I think, last year. So a great win there for Ben. Travis Smythe, another pink player, tied for 5th. Well done to him. He's having a good, solid season again in Asia.
Going well. And
Kazuma Kobori, Momoka's brother, he had the first round lead, but faded a little bit, finishing in a tie for 28th. This week, we got the women's major, the Evian, over there in France. So looking forward to that, and obviously the Scottish Open as well.
Looking forward to some good views as well.
Yeah, they got some good ones at the Evian. Yeah, the golf course they don't rate. They don't really like that course, to be honest. They even some of the stars don't even go, and it's a major, which is a bit silly.
Just rolling back one tournament, how's Kazuma putting? Do we know?
Well, he must have putted well the first round because he was leading, but I think he had 77 the second round. But it's solid. He's getting it around. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, his biggest thing is his length, isn't it? He'll need to pick up a few yards if he wants to compete.
Nick, your mate Hannah Gregg had a good win on the weekend too.
She did. Her first pro win over there in Sweden, playing a little mini tour event with her fiancé as well, who was playing, and she got the win. It was a fantastic result for her. If you haven't listened to that pod, it was a good one.
Yeah.
Have a listen back.
Now, we've got a fair bit of feedback to get through here, guys, with some questions for you. Ooh, so I'm really looking forward to hearing some of these answers.
Any waxed?
No wax today, but I think we'll make up for that next week after Mark's Elvis Presley impersonation.
I love it.
It was a joke.
On the Australian Open, Peter Kennedy heard our pod with James yesterday. Great outcome, showcasing some of the world's best golf courses and giving our pros a prestigious event. It also opens avenues to progress their careers. Bring it on.
Beauty.
Absolutely.
Very nice.
Yep.
Chris has got a question. In the wake of the James podcast, I wonder what routing they're going to use at Kingston Heath.
So, the 7th hole will be the first, and they'll play all the inner holes. And then the first hole will be the 10th hole, and they'll play 10, 19, and then 12 through 18.
Is that the way they did it last time they were there?
That's the way they do it, yeah. They leave the 10th hole out, the little par 3 that's a gorgeous little par 3.
I love that hole. But you need that for probably the hospitality and corporates, right?
Well, they have a first hole and the 10th hole close by for rounds 1 and 2. It's just very handy to play the inner and then the outer. Okay. It actually works. We play it that way as members on a Wednesday.
Okay.
So in the Wednesday comp, we play it that way, which it works really well. Every other time, they're just off the first.
Mick has written in about the bonus pod with Jonathan Yarwood that we had a couple of weeks ago. Hey guys, love the chat with Jonathan and listening to his teaching philosophy. I'd like to know if you feel this is similar to the old simple teaching methods of John Jacobs. Cheers, Mick.
It's a mix of John Jacobs and the technology that he has at his fingertips. It's a beautiful mix, and it's the way he describes it. And he mentioned this on the pod. Artistry and technology. And he uses both vehicles to make it simple for the golfer. And I love that. Yeah, I think it's great.
Absolutely.
Keeping things simple is the most important thing. If you're getting advice and it's hard to understand, I think you're getting the wrong advice. Or you need to put your hand up and say, I don't understand what you're saying, mate.
Yeah.
I don't get it. What are you trying to tell me to do?
Yeah, and I think in that podcast when we spoke with Jonathan, he actually said, look, I asked my pupils, my students, what are they trying to get at? He's always asking the questions, which is good. A lot of pros, I don't think they'll just say this is the way you should do it, and that's not the right way. Funnily enough, a buddy of mine, Simon Mount, actually, who's based up in Sydney, he listened to the pod and thought, I'll get one of those lessons that we spoke about, on Skillist, I think is the app.
It. Yep.
He said he's been trying to fix his backswing for 10 years. Yeah, Jonathan fixed him in 5 minutes.
Oh,
Unbelievable.
I'd love to see the before and after.
I've got it. Yeah, I've got it on video. He sent it to me, so I'm not sure he want me to
Well,
share it.
Ask him if we can share it, and if we
Okay.
can, I reckon people will be fascinated.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Loved it.
Well, Skillis looks amazing. We'll put the link to it in the show notes again because it's a cracker, and you can. And I looked at the prices. It's for Jonathan, a guy of his caliber. It's
reasonable.
Really, really cheap.
I've been trying to solve my wife's swing for a while. I might get her to get a lesson off Jonathan.
There's no way mate. There's no way. If your wife is anything like my wife, they're not going to listen to us.
Oh no, they do. I'm just not. I'm just not as technically gifted a coach as he is.
Yeah, okay.
Message from Matt here. G'day, Nick and Mark. Love the pod. Keep up the good work. I'm wondering if either of you has been to Bandon Dunes, and if so, if you were to do a boys' trip to the US, what, in your opinion, is a better destination for golf, Bandon Dunes or Pinehurst? Cheers.
Wow. Well, I've never been to Bandon Dunes. It's on the list of things I need to experience
There's
in golf.
something like 9 or 10 courses there, right?
Yeah.
That's what I've. But the same at Pinehurst, I believe. I haven't been either. I've been to Pinehurst, and that was fantastic. But
Well, you played the Open when you were at Pinehurst. You weren't there on a boys' trip.
But personally, I'd love to go to Bandon Dunes.
Yeah,
I think that'd be fascinating.
Yeah. I'd probably go to Pinehurst.
Would you?
But
Okay.
I've never been to Bandon Dunes, but in fact, I don't even know many people who have been to it. And that was really reported back to me.
I hear it's out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It might be in Oregon somewhere or something like that. But there's not much around it. But if it's a boys' trip, it's golf.
Yeah.
You know.
At least Pinehurst, there are a lot of other things to do and other golf courses close by. And that's the only reason
Okay.
I would probably, if you're going for one trip, then I'd go to Pinehurst because there's a lot of other stuff you can do in the area.
Fair enough.
Peter Riley has a request for a masterclass, guys. I love the show and I can't wait for each podcast to drop. A question or a query for a masterclass, if I could. When a ball is sitting down into grass as high as the ball, I'd appreciate your thoughts on how you should set up, grip and swing. Keep up the great work, Peter. Masterclass idea.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Well, that will be my masterclass for this week then. Perfect.
Today?
My turn. Today.
Oh, jeez.
Hey.
Hang on. I thought you had one programmed in to hit it longer and straighter today. What's going on?
Yeah, we'll save that for next time.
All right, save it for next time, righto.
Oh, that is you know what? That is
Maybe
great.
you can do that masterclass.
That is great service for Peter there.
Yeah.
Greenkeeping Rooster has said, Nick, I'm glad you put Metropolitan in your top 5. It's my favourite course that I have ever played.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's high praise.
Top 5 conditioned courses that was, remember?
Yeah, that's right.
That was brilliant.
Dodsey has written in. Guys, playing in the Far North Queensland Open amateur event this weekend just gone, we had some rain of about 30 mils the night before and also a couple of days prior. The course was in great condition prior, but on the day it was covered with surface water.
Soggy.
I'd love to get some advice from you on how to play in wet conditions like that. It seemed better in the second cut of grass compared to the middle of the fairway. On the fairway, it was hard to hit it fat or skinny, where on the second you could get better contact with the ball. I know these conditions aren't necessarily normal, but I'm curious as to your advice on how to play it.
Soggy golf. I saw Greg Chalmers do a chipping masterclass off a soggy chipping, and his advice there was to be as shallow as you possibly could.
Okay.
So I think that's probably makes sense. I don't think you'd want to take big divots in sogginess. You'd get your strides a bit dirty, one, but two,
Usually if you have casual water, you get relief. So.
Yeah, that's true too.
But obviously the whole course was probably in a similar boat, so they couldn't do that. Personally, I'd like to come in a little steeper to it.
You'd pinch it?
I'd try and pinch the ball a bit more myself, but that's just me. So for for most golfers out there, I think the shallow route would be the better way to do it. I think you have to allow, especially around the greens, for skid, because the ball will aquaplane on you as it lands around the greens. So you got to take that, you got to factor that into account. It won't stop as quickly.
That's what happens when you're playing early in the morning.
Yes,
You're first off, there's dew all over the place.
Correct.
It skids that first bounce every single time.
Message from Mark here with a question for you guys. Hello, Nick and Mark. I'd like to hear your views on Olympic selection. I know it's based on world rankings, but wouldn't it be better for Cam Smith to be there rather than Jason Day? Jason has been back to Australia since 2017. Cam comes every year, hosts a junior tournament at his local Wanturna Golf Club, and he's also put a lot of his personal money into that to improve the course. I know he knows the rules and accepts them, but it doesn't seem to me to be really Australian how Jason Day's behaving.
But I don't think you can blame Jason. So I think the PGA Tour kind of sanctions the Olympic golf. I think it does, Nick.
Okay.
And that includes, they've pretty much got their hooks into the DP World Tour as well. That surprises me. I would have thought that just every country's PGA or governing body in golf would just choose who they think their best players are. And I think if we did it that way here, then I think Cameron Smith would be playing in the green and gold in Paris.
Min Woo. Yeah. Well, Min Woo's going already, obviously. But,
yeah.
Well, they have to have criteria, don't they? So the only one they can go off is world rankings, and given the live situation, it is what it is. So, if you factor in everything else, as giving back to the game, playing down here in Australia, things like that, well,
Cameron Smith is a walk-up start.
Yeah, I would have thought so too.
Yeah. Although, we're hearing Jason may be back for the Aussie Open.
Is that right?
Or, no, actually, sorry, it's the new BMW Australian PGA.
No.
Yes, that's right. Sorry, I've heard rumours he's going to be coming back for that. So
all right, good.
That would be really good.
Last comment here. This is not a question for you. It's just a comment on something that was on the show last week. Now, last week we were talking about your hole-in-one where you thought you won a car, and you kissed the car, and you danced on the car, and you essentially tried to make love to the car.
That's
Mark.
right. That was stupid.
It was stupid, but it's a great story.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Warwick Wood's written in, Mark and Nick, you recently spoke about cars as hole-in-one prizes in pro events. I've got a good news story from many years ago about a friend of mine who was a former assistant secretary of the New South Wales Golf Association. About 30 years ago, settle in here, about 30 years ago, he was a member of the Lakes in Sydney, and Jaguar held a corporate day at the Lakes. He was at the club early that morning, and he was asked to fill in because one group was one player short in a four-man Ambrose.
No way.
On that day, Jaguar had on offer one of their cars for anyone who holed out on the long par 18th hole.
That's a long hole. It was a long hole back then.
It was a shotgun start, and his group was first off the 18th. As he was the local member, he offered to hit it first to help show the group how the hole played. As luck would have it, he knocked his tee shot straight into the hole.
Oh, goodness.
However, there's a twist.
Don't tell me he doesn't get the car.
As the value of the car was way over the maximum value of the prize that an amateur could accept, he had to decide, does he not accept the prize, or does he accept it on the condition that he relinquishes his amateur status?
This was a choice people had to make back in the day.
This was a thing, wasn't it?
This is a thing.
So what did Warwick's friend do?
Took the car.
Needless to say, he took the car.
Yeah, well done. Of course, he had to.
Turned pro and never made a cut again.
What a silly rule. I think these days you can win it. These days you can win a car.
These days you can,
You can do anything.
Why not?
In fact, the amateur kid who came second, what's his name, Clan?
Yeah.
He had sponsors all over him.
Yeah.
He's an amateur player. He probably made $15,000 from the week.
Yeah, well, that's
He was labelled up.
College sports has changed now, hasn't it? With
that's
all
right.
the what is it? The NIL money, things like that.
Yeah, stuff like that. NCAA's changed forever.
Yeah.
Golf has many ways of measuring ability and performance. But at the end of the day, it's all about the numbers. And that's where Watch My Numbers can really help.
Thanks to Watch My Numbers, the most powerful database golf app in the world. You can download it from Google Play or the App Store. It's time for a masterclass, as requested by Peter Riley for you, Nick.
Yes, Peter. So your request of how do you play out of thickish rough when the rough is about the length of the ball or it's over the ball, you're in that deeper grass. Number one, loft is your friend. Very important to take a little bit more loft when you get in there. Even if you've got a 5-iron distance to the hole, take a 6 or a 7-iron, even an 8 or a 9, depending on how thick the grass is. Your number one priority is not to do something stupid and rack up a double bogey or a triple bogey. Next thing you want to do is put the ball slightly back in your stance. I find an inch or so is nice, and lean your weight into your front leg a little bit more. A couple of other things you can do is either pick the club up a bit more sharply on the way back where you hinge the wrists, and because what you're trying to do is you're trying to create a steeper angle of attack into the ball. We want to get that club face on the ball as quickly as possible. If you come into the ball as you normally would do with a typical swing, you're going to come in shallower. The grass behind the ball is going to wrap that club face and that heel, that hosel, and it's going to shut it on you, and you may just smother the ball in front of you, and the ball just won't come out.
Yeah.
So come in a little bit steeper is what it's all about. Use a bit of loft as your friend, and I will put that on a little bit of a masterclass video, social video later on for everyone.
It is amusing when you see a person without much power try to hit a normal iron out of that long rough. You know, if it was a 3-iron, it was on the fairway, they get their 3-iron out and like there's no way you can hit a 3-iron out of that lie. So in a way, you just got to pick the fights you know you can win.
Yep.
Get the 9-iron, chomp it out.
Take your medicine.
Take your medicine, try and get up and down.
Bogeys, make bogey your worst score, basically.
Before we finish, if you haven't heard the bonus podcast yesterday with James Sutherland, it's worth a listen. Go back, find it, have a listen. He was fantastic, and we really appreciated his time. And tickets are on sale now. ozopengolf.com.au or at Ticketek. Limited first releases available now. Get your tickets.
And corporates too. Corporates, you get the early bird on the corporate. So if you and your buddies want a table on the Friday or on the Thursday or on the Saturday or on the Sunday, get involved.
It'll be honest before we know it.
Maybe we should do a pod from down there. What do you think?
Oh, we have to.
Geez, hang on a second. Hello.
We'll do that. See you, boys.
Cheers.
And thanks for listening to Talk Birdie, Timmy. We appreciate you listening and getting involved. And a huge thanks to our fantastic partners. Without them, the show just wouldn't be the same. Watch my numbers. Download the app and turn your bogeys into birdies by analysing and improving your game like never before. The Golf Clearance Outlet. Awesome prices on great gear. You can see them in Melbourne, Sydney, Brizzy, Perth, and online at golfclearanceoutlet.com.au. And Ping. See your local golf shop or professional to arrange a Ping Club fitting. They'll help you play your best. If Ping's good enough for Nick O'Hearn, well, that says it all. And we'd love you to get involved with the show. You can leave a voicemail with any comments or questions at talkbirdie2me.com.au or send an email or comment on the socials. And if you can share the pod with a friend, well, we'd love that. Talk Birdie to Me's executive producer is Dan Bradley at Kaizen Media. Sound design, Daryl Misson at loudzebra.com.
Mark, before we go, that Elvis joke, an impersonation, seriously, can you never do that again?
Don't take it out.
Never do it again.
Leave it in. People will find it amusing.
I think if he does that again, Nick, we should refuse. We should suspend him for a week.
Put him on probation for sure. But I think feedback will tell us all.
Oh yes, it will be good.
Hey boys, February March.
Please don't.
Yeah, I love my golf. So much fun. Hang on, just give me a sec. All right, boys, feeling good about this one. Okay, well, not every shot's an ace, but my game's improved out of sight since I went to the Golf Clearance Outlet. They've got the biggest brands, TaylorMade, Titleist, FootJoy, Callaway, and more. And their prices, well, they beat everyone. Check them out in-store or online at golfclearanceoutlet.com.au.